Part 1. The quiet before the fire. To most species in the Orion Spur, humans were a curiosity. Not the strongest, not the largest, not the fastest, but undeniably the most unpredictable. And where unpredictability went, trouble followed. Xyrith Vorn, commander of the Arisian Protectorate, had learned this truth early in his military career. He'd served beside humans during the siege of Kaltura Prime, where he'd seen them fight with ferocity unmatched by any species. He'd watched them laugh in the middle of artillery bombardments, joke while bleeding out, and run headfirst into danger if it meant protecting someone else. But nothing, absolutely nothing, unleashed human fury like threatening a child. Xyrith knew this. Every veteran knew this. But many in the galaxy did not. Not yet. And that ignorance was about to set the Orion Spur on fire. Part 2. The spark that should never have ignited. The Arisian Protectorate was supposed to be neutral territory, a buffer zone where trade could flow and diplomacy could survive. Humans, Volari, Draxians, and dozens more lived side by side on Arixian-administered planets. One such world, Juno, 4, was peaceful, almost boring, at least until the Korlax Syndicate arrived. The Korlax were a cold-blooded, power-hungry species that considered mercy inefficient and empathy a genetic flaw. They ran much of the region's smuggling and extortion rings, but on Juno, for their presence had always been limited, until they discovered the one thing no one should ever have let them near. A government transport full of young humans being shuttled to a multicultural academy. 28 human children, all under 12. When the Korlax ambushed the transport, they had no idea what storm they were unleashing. They saw only ransom potential, not the consequences. Humans are soft, a Korlax raider said smugly as they locked the crying children in containment cells. Their government will pay immediately. Another raider chuckled. Besides, what are the small ones going to do? Bite us. The children shivered, terrified. And across the outpost, security alarms went silent, cut off at the source. The Korlax had planned well. What they hadn't planned for was that Commander Xyrith Vorn, the Arisian who had fought beside humans, was only 6 kilometers away. When he received the encrypted distress beacon, he froze. Human children. Korlax involvement. And suddenly, the temperature in the control room seemed to drop. Xyrith stood up, mandibles clicking sharply. "Oh no," whispered one of his officers. The Korlax did not. "They did," Xyrith growled, his bioluminescent markings flaring with warning colors. "They have no idea what they've done." Part 3. The warning that came too late. Arisian dropships screamed through the stratosphere. Xyrith rode in the lead craft, armored and armed. But he was already too late. Not to save the children, they were still alive. Too late to stop what came next. Because unknown to him, someone else had already received a distress ping. A coded human military emergency signal. It had not gone to a diplomat, not to a negotiator. It had gone to Joint Human Response Unit, Omega Protocol. Designation: the Black Shield. The most feared special operations group humanity had ever produced. Only activated for the worst crimes. Crimes like threatening human children. Xyrith's dropship was halfway to the Syndicate outpost when his comms crackled. Commander Vorn. A voice, hard as forged steel. He recognized it immediately. Captain Mara Ellison, Human Black Shield Commander. He swallowed. "Captain, I was not aware the Black Shield was deployed." "You weren't," she answered. "We deployed ourselves. Protocol requires." "Protocol is suspended," Ellison cut in. Her voice carried no anger, but something colder, more final. The Korlax crossed a line. Xyrath inhaled sharply. Captain, I assure you, my forces were already mobilizing to rescue the children. I know, Ellison replied calmly, and we appreciate your efforts. But, Xyrath said, but step aside. There was no threat in her tone, no aggression, just certainty. Captain, Xyrath tried again, if the Black Shield acts, the Syndicate will retaliate. They will not, Ellison answered, because they will not be capable of retaliating. Xyrath stiffened. Captain Ellison, please. Humans must not start a war. Commander, she interrupted, they kidnap children. We're not starting a war. Her voice dropped an octave. We're ending one. Part 4. The Black Shield arrives. The Syndicate outpost was fortified with auto turrets, kinetic barriers, and heavy plasma artillery. It lasted 43 seconds. From the sky, streaks of burning blue tore through clouds. The Black Shield dropped pods. They hit the ground like meteor strikes. And then the screaming began. Xyrath arrived just in time to see legends in motion. The Black Shield were not soldiers. They were human fury incarnate, moving with deadly precision. Their weapons hummed with terrifying efficiency. They did not kill unnecessarily. They did not miss. They did not stop. Xyrath watched Captain Ellison storm the central barricade. She moved like a shadow of war, cutting through Korlax troopers with a cold, silent efficiency that chilled even an Ari-Cien battle veteran. One Korlax guard dropped his weapon, trembling. We surrender, he croaked. Ellison's visor turned toward him. You took children, she said quietly. Then she stepped past him to secure the cell doors. The soldier fainted in relief. The Black Shield did not execute surrendering foes. But the fear they inspired was punishment enough. Inside the detention wing, the Korlax commander frantically tried to activate the hostage execution protocols. He didn't get the chance. A boot slammed into his chest, pinning him against the console. Captain Ellison loomed over him. Her voice was soft. Deadly. You hurt human children? The Korlax wheezed. We did not harm, just ransom. Ellison leaned closer. Do you realize what comes next? Her visor retracted, revealing eyes burning with a fury so controlled it froze the Korlax's blood. You will release every child. You will surrender your entire outpost. And you will pray very hard, that none of these children have a scratch on them. Behind her, Black Shield medics were already opening containment cells, guiding terrified children out. Captain, one medic shouted. They're alive. Relief rippled through the humans, but their anger did not fade, because survival was not enough. Not for what had been done. Part 5. A conversation in the ruins. Once the outpost was secured, Xyrath approached Ellison cautiously. She was kneeling, checking the last child for injuries. Her face softened as she spoke to him, her hands gentle. Then she stood. Commander Vorn. Captain Ellison, he replied quietly. Your soldiers are effective. Ellison looked around at the smoldering wreckage of the once fortified outpost. We were merciful today, she said simply. Xyrath tilted his head. Merciful? Ellison nodded. If they had harmed even one child, this entire moon would be burning. Xyrath knew she wasn't exaggerating. What happens now? He asked. Ellison exhaled slowly. Now, we take the children home. We notify their parents that they're safe. And the Korlax? Xyrath asked. She looked at him with a calm that sent shivers through his plates. We make sure they spread the message. What message? Ellison stepped aside as two of her soldiers dragged the Korlax commander forward, trembling and broken. She crouched down to meet his eyes. You will go back to your syndicate masters, she said softly. You'll tell them exactly what happened here. Her voice became colder than vacuum. Tell them the Black Shield does not negotiate over children.
She stood.
Tell them humanity does not forgive threats to its young. Her eyes hardened. And tell them if they ever try this again, we will show them what human wrath truly looks like. The Korlax commander nodded frantically. And if they doubt you, Ellison added, turning away, tell them to look at what's left of this outpost. Part 6. The galaxy reacts. News spread
fast.
By the end of the rotation cycle, every major species had heard. The Black Shield responded to a hostage situation involving human children. The Syndicate outpost was neutralized with 0 civilian casualties and 0 mercy. Some species were outraged, some terrified, some quietly approving, but all understood one thing. Humans had lines that must never be crossed. The Volari Council issued a statement. Harming human young is hereby recognized as a threat to galactic stability. The Draxian War tribe said, "We respect the humans. Anyone harming our children would face the same fate." The Arishta Enclave sent a formal request for joint protective training with humans. And the Korlax Syndicate? They publicly declared they would never again target human civilians, because they had seen the alternative. Part 7. The Children Speak. 3 days later, back on Juno 4, the rescued children gathered in the Ari Sien Plaza. Citizens from many species were present, humans especially. Commander Xyrith stood beside Captain Ellison as the children approached. A small boy tugged Ellison's sleeve. "You saved us," he whispered. Ellison knelt.
"No. We protected you," she said gently.
"That's what adults are supposed to do." Another girl stepped forward. "Ma'am?" "They said humans are scary." Xyrith stiffened, but Ellison smiled softly. "Humans aren't scary," she said. "Not to you. Never to children." She looked toward the horizon. "We're only scary to people who try to hurt you." The children nodded, comforted. Then the smallest one, a toddler, hugged Ellison's leg. Xyrith saw something in Ellison's eyes shift. A flicker of pain, of memory. He realized then that this was not just duty for her. It was personal. Later, as the plaza emptied, Xyrith approached quietly. "You lost someone, didn't you?" he asked softly. Ellison didn't look at him. "A long time ago," she murmured. "My sister. She was 6. Xyrith bowed his head. "I am sorry." Ellison inhaled unsteadily. "I couldn't save her, but I can save others. That's why the Black Shield exists." "And you think this will be enough to deter the Syndicate?" Xyrith asked. Ellison's lips curled into something between a smile and a warning. "Oh yes. They're cowards. They hurt the weak because they think no one will strike back." Her voice hardened. "But now they know." Part 8. The Lasting Message. That night, the Black Shield prepared to depart. Dropships lined the landing pads, engines humming softly. Ellison approached Xyrith one final time. "Commander," she said, offering her hand. "Thank you for your support." Xyrith clasped her forearm. "I only regret we arrived after you." She raised a brow. "You did well. Better than most." They shared a brief, mutual understanding, a bond between warriors. "Captain," Xyrith said, "may I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do humans always react this strongly to threats against their young?" Ellison looked at him with a seriousness that rooted him in place. "Commander Vorn," she said quietly, "humans will forgive almost anything." Her gaze hardened into something ancient, primal, unwavering. But not that. She stepped onto her dropship ramp. And now the galaxy knows. The ramp closed. The Black Shield departed. The message remained. You hurt human children? Then you have declared war. And you will not survive what comes next. The end.